I think everybody has encountered how over generations, some words totally change their meaning from what they were from once upon a time. We're going to talk about those in the football realm with football words with footballarchaeology.com's Timothy B. Brown coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history. Your host, Darin Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darin Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And it is Tuesday, and we have a special guest that comes on every Tuesday. So I don't know if he's special anymore, but Timothy Brown of footballarchaeology.com is here to tell us about another one of his tidbits. And Tim, you are special. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
I'm special in a very consistent way.
That's right.
Every Tuesday I'm special. Other than that, not really.
Yeah, but definitely you are every day because we read your tidbits and the way you dig into the research on the football history is just phenomenal. And you get to share a little bit with us tonight on a tidbit you wrote a little while ago that you titled "Football and the Archaic Language." So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Tim?
Yeah, just a little side note that there really is a certain amount of in reading. I just read a lot of articles from back in the day, right? And so you can kind of, and I actually try sometimes to throw in a little bit of the terminology that they use, into articles. And but it's just interesting, just language evolves and things like, no one says Shazam anymore or 22 skidoo, but back in the 20s they did. Well, so these, anyways, that tidbit, I mostly looked at things like pre-forward pass, right? So, and a couple of them were, pretty early on, but the first one that I really liked was, an article about, I think it was for Easter Sunday, they were having like everybody had to go to church or chapel in the prison, and then afterwards they got some free time, and they were allowed to go out and play some football and talk to one another. But the way it was phrased in the newspaper article was, they said, following the exercises in the chapel, the men were allowed an hour of football and intercourse with each other in the yard. So, okay, well, probably an editor would change that. But hey, you do what you got to do if you're in prison in 1878, I guess.
Yeah, I guess some things in prison just don't change, I guess.
So, then another one that I liked was, just talking about the nature of the game. This is 1883, so it's actually before the mass play stuff, comes on. So it's still tackling above the waist, because it's basically rugby rules. And so it was, they're talking about more reflecting on the game itself, and they described it as the most fruitful of any game of ball, of severe injuries in the form of rupture and of broken, dislocated, and sprained limbs. So it's like, the game wasn't even rough yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was rough. It's still tackling but there was a lot of kicking, but it was still the wide open form.
That's all kinds of hurt just in the description there. That's
and then as long as we're on the injury subject, the next year there was a guy named Eugene Richards who was either captain or star or whatever of the Yale team. And after they played Princeton on Thanksgiving Day in at the Polo Grounds or wherever it was, it must have been probably the Polo Grounds. He was quoted as saying, "Football is all right. Nobody ever was killed by playing it. It's a healthy, manly exercise. It is growing in favor." Now, the funny thing is that he said that from his hospital bed where his leg was encased in plaster. and the article said that he had his wrist wrenched out of place in the match with Harvard and 2 ribs smashed in the preceding match, which was against Yale alumni. So, the guy had a rough season. But
yeah, top to bottom, he's pretty broken at this point.
Yeah, yeah. But it was, a good, healthy, manly exercise. Then there was one from 1898, and the headline, of the article was, "For it was Harvard's day," which I just, that was one of those like kind of magical musical 1890s kind of phrasing. They're talking about it was apparently a pretty nasty day weather-wise. It said a more disagreeable cold day could not have been found for the championship game than was Saturday. Rain fell in perfect torrents all through the day, but did not daunt the crowd. So it went on to talk about all the clothing that people had to wear to try to stay dry. So that must have been a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it sounds like that came right out of some mid century English poet or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the last one is just the guy, I'm blanking on his name. He played at Michigan, and then I wrote an article about when he coached at Knox, and then he became the coach at Missouri. But he was this is 1902, the year he was Missouri's coach, and he was talking about the fan support. It used to be that fans would go attend practice, so, and they cheer out, they have like cheering sections as guys were practicing. So he was talking about how, supportive they were. So there was a large crowd of students present, and they got together and cheered and yelled and jollied the boys up in great style. So it has been a while since I've been jollied up, but maybe maybe it'll come soon. Maybe somebody will jolly me up in the near future.
You don't have like the family sing for "He's a Jolly Good Fellow" or anything like that at the holidays?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since anybody sung that to me. But I do want to be jollied up sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what that means, and it could go a bunch of different ways. So maybe we'll just stay away from that one.
Yeah. So those are just language choices of reporters and or coaches and players, I guess, back in the day. So pre-forward pass.
Yeah, that is definitely probably a reason why they came up with sports journalism courses and better writing courses and things like that. So, but yeah, so some interesting things, and it's amazing how some of the choices of words used a century ago today have an entirely different meaning, and especially put them in this football realm, can really be some crazy.
I mean, there's all kinds of words, and even if you go further back, in the earlier English, they just have entirely different meanings. They mean the opposite of what they once did. So, the old language keeps evolving.
Yeah, definitely. And we appreciate when you talk about things like that and you put them in with the spin on football. And you have things like this happening all the time in your tidbits. And maybe you could share with the audience where they could find your tidbits and enjoy some of this great history.
Yeah, just go to footballarchaeology.com. It's a Substack, so you can either find it there, subscribe. If you subscribe, you get an email every night. Although if you prefer not to get the email, you can just subscribe and turn off the email, and you'll just then you got to go to the app to read it. But so whatever works, and then I'm on Blue Sky as well if you want to follow me there.
Oh, Tim, we really appreciate you, and we'd love to talk to you again next Tuesday about some more great football history.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.